All right, welcome to Talkin' Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, we're going to do our monthly update of Bitcoin operations for all the Bitcoin miners. So this is where we take a look at all the monthly operational reports and compare them, and I have a bunch of charts and graphs. A bunch of stuff happened this month, so if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button. Lastly, if you want to, you can become a member of the channel by hitting the join button. It's right next to the subscribe button on the YouTube page. Members get some members-only content. In addition to that, we do a members-only live stream once a week. Also, on that live stream, the members get to pick a company for me to do a deep dive video on. So we'd love to have you join us. A lot happened in November. Some of these charts really changed, and I'm going to try to explain along the way a couple of Bitcoin miners I took off the list. I'll tell you which ones those are and why. So November was crazy. I expect December is going to be crazy as well, but let's talk. Everybody's given their monthly operational report, with the exception of GRI. So that is one of the ones that I have not included in this analysis. GRI did give us this operational update. Okay, so this was on December 20th. So, you know, normally they would have put out their monthly operational numbers. They did not do that, but they put out this instead. And I'm just going to skip to the good part here, or unfortunately for them, the bad part. Because there is substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern and to manage its liabilities in light of its current operating environment, an investment in the company's common stock is highly speculative. Holders of the company's common stock are highly likely to suffer a total loss of their investment if the company is unable to restructure its debt. I don't have all the exact details. They have not worked out a deal yet, but for this reason, I'm putting them aside. They did not give us any numbers for the month of November, so we have nothing to compare. In addition to that, basically they've said, you know, invest at your own risk. The stock's likely to go to zero if we can't renegotiate. Okay, let's go to the list. Now I'm going to talk about the second Bitcoin miner that, for the most part, I did not include in this monthly operational update. So in this very first chart, I will show you what they did, and then I am excluding them, and that is CORZ Scientific. So CORZ Scientific is still the largest Bitcoin miner. So I'm going to show you that in this first chart, but I've pulled them out because in the month of November, they filed for bankruptcy. So at this point, they're in a similar situation where for the time being, they're in a bankruptcy reorganization, and we really don't know what that's going to mean until they come out the other end. So to compare a company in bankruptcy to the rest of these companies, I thought didn't make sense. And you'll see CORZ Scientific, even though they've filed for reorganization and bankruptcy, they had their best month of production they've ever had, 1,355 Bitcoin. They did not give an operational update either. I had to go to Twitter and add this up manually day by day by day. But you can see they're still more than double, almost triple the next closest in production. However, unfortunately, that level of ramping up in production has cost them having to file for bankruptcy. To put it in perspective, this is what the chart looks like with CORZ Scientific included. But on a going forward basis, I'm going to do this. So to me, this is the new top 10. So Cleanspark mined 535 Bitcoin in the month of November, so I'm counting that as number one of all the Bitcoin miners that we're following. RIOT was number 2 at 521, Marathon was number 3 at 472, Bitfarms was number 4 at 453, and then you can see it drops off pretty drastically from there. Hive is at 264, Hut is at 238, Argo Blockchain's at 198, Iris Energy moved down from 6th place down to 8th place because they had to give a lot of their machines back. So they're another one who had a major reorganization. However, they did not file bankruptcy, and they are still mining Bitcoin. So you can see they mined 151 Bitcoin, and that number will continue to go up as time goes by. So they did fall from 6th to 8th place, but they're still operational. BitDigital now is on the list. So they were on the outside looking in. Given the fact that GRI is no longer reporting, and I'm not sure they're even producing any Bitcoin, and now CORZ Scientific as well has filed for bankruptcy, that puts BitDigital at number 9 with 144 Bitcoin mined. And then a new addition to the list as well, TeraWulf. So TeraWulf is just finally getting up and running. This is really their first monthly operational update. They're still only at 134 Bitcoin mined, but according to their plans, they will be scaling up greatly. So I do think that Wolf stands a chance of actually moving up this list throughout the course of 2023. They're new to the list, but they're probably here to stay. BitDigital is a bit fuzzy on their plans going forward, so they're on the list for now, but I'm afraid they may get passed by both Wolf and Cypher, which also has not yet reported any Bitcoin mining operational reports. However, they have reported that they're getting up and running and they expect to be doing a substantial amount of mining in December and January. I expect them to potentially creep onto this list as well. So I did think this list was going to be solid through to the end of the year, and the top 10 was going to remain the top 10, but here we already have 2 new companies on the list and probably more to follow. So there was a lot more shakeup this year than I expected, and it came sooner than expected. But most of this is a function of the fact that Bitcoin, obviously we are in a deep bear market. We're still in the $16,800 range. There are companies that just aren't necessarily going to make it to the other side of this market. This is year-to-date Bitcoin mine, so this is actually quite competitive for first place with CORZ Scientific out. And again, CORZ Scientific, just to put it to scale, they're at about 11,600 Bitcoin mined year to date, but again, they don't have any of them left. They had to sell them all and file for bankruptcy. So to me, it didn't make sense to put them on the year to date list when they're all already gone. So that leaves RIOT in first place with 4,877, Bitfarms in a close second with 4,672, Hive in a very close third with 4,538, then Cleanspark at 4,157 in fourth place, and Marathon all the way down in fifth place at 3,669. So at the beginning of the year, it looked like Marathon was going to be run away ahead of all these other companies, but they have lagged operationally all year long, and you'll see November was no different. So HUT is in sixth place at 3,407, and then you'll see a big drop off. So we're kind of down to a top 6. For most of the year, we were at a top 7. We're now down to a top 6, and that's really as a function of the fact that CORZ Scientific has filed for bankruptcy. So we have a big drop off down to Iris Energy, which is at 2,172, and they've scaled back their operations considerably. Then we have Argo Blockchain, who's basically stopped adding to their operations as well at 2,000, and then it drops way down to Bit Digital at 1,100, and then DigiHost at 776. Both CORZ Scientific and Greed would have been on this list, but they did not provide information and or filed for bankruptcy. Okay, so here we go. This list is shuffled around pretty good. This is Bitcoin miner by exahash. So this is the monthly reported exahash they had as of November 30th, 2022. So we now have RIOT in first place with 7.7 exahash. So CORZ Scientific was up much higher than this again, and I'm just gonna, next month I will not be mentioning that with every chart, but just to, keep it in perspective, CORZ Scientific was setting the standard. They were up at like 13 or 14 exahash. Well, they're now filed for bankruptcy, so I've taken them out of this. So that leaves RIOT at 7.7 in first place. That leaves Marathon at 7.0 in second place. So Marathon did not add any exahash in this month. Cleanspark is at 5.5. They have added a massive amount of exahash over the last several months, including the month of November. So that puts them now in third place. The number on the top is where they currently rank, and the number on the bottom in parentheses is where they ranked last month. So you'll see all of these companies basically up to this point moved one position up, and that's because CORZ Scientific fell off the chart. You'll see some other companies have shuffled around in the last half as well. So Bitfarms at 4.4 exahash, HUT at 3.27, Hive was at 2.51, Argo Blockchain is at 2.5, so Argo Blockchain did not add any exahash in the month of November either. Iris Energy actually subtracted exahash, so they are now in 8th place and they were in 6th. So they're down to 1.4, which is tied with Bit Digital at 1.4. So that's 8th and 9th, and then in 10th place is TeraWolf at 1.3. So you can see TeraWolf has only just started growing. So I do expect their exahash rate to grow, but I also want to put a warning out that they have also given some similar type updates that they're having a major problem with their liquidity. So that's a company to keep your eye on. That's one of the ones that I think is a high risk from a liquidity standpoint. So we'll see. At the same time that they're growing now, they may run out of money. Okay, so this is the mining efficiency chart for November of 2022. So you'll see in the month of November, it looks like anywhere around 100 to 105 was considered efficient. Again, what this number is the amount of Bitcoin mined in the month of November divided by the exahash at November 30th, 2022. So there is one of these companies, Cleanspark, added a lot of exahash during the month. So where their efficiency number, the way I've calculated it, is at 97. But if I were to take an average over the course of the month, that probably would pop them up right up somewhere in that 105 area, which is around first place. So just to let you know, Cleanspark, which looks like they're in the middle of the pack, really to be fair, is probably closer to the top of the list. But Hive, Iris, Wolf, Bitfarms, Digital, they were all over 100. They were between 103 and 105, so that was good performance. There are a few other ones worth talking about. Argo Blockchain is at 79. They have just been down near that type of a number for months and months, so there's no excuse for them. That's what's happening, and it continues to happen. Now, HUT came in at a low number of 73, but that is because their operations got interrupted. They currently have one of their operations turned off, and they're in negotiations with the power company that they're getting power from. So that really put a shift in all of their numbers. So that number looks oddball this month. They're usually much more competitive than that. Riot Blockchain is at 68. So Riot did announce that they have switched pools. They think their efficiency is going to go up dramatically as a result of having switched pools. We'll see in December, half of the month of December, they were in a new pool. So we'll see if that has had any effect. But also there's been some severe weather in December that's caused some major curtailment. So all of these things are going to have impact in next month's numbers. But for now, Riot did take action because this number is lower than they want it to be. And Marathon is right there with them at 67, and they're in the same position. They're just underperforming versus the amount of exahash that they have operating. Marathon has their own pool. I don't know whether or not this has to do with luck or self-curtailment, and I suspect some of these companies with energy, the price that it's at, and Bitcoin, the price that it's at, have done some self-curtailing over the course of the month, and that will obviously then lower your Bitcoin efficiency number. Okay, last one. So this is Bitcoin Hodl at November 30th. You'll see I've listed 1, 2, 3, and I haven't even given anybody else a number because at this point, it's clear there's 3 companies that are hodling and none of the rest of the companies are doing that. So each one of these companies is having to spend a portion or all of the Bitcoin that they mine each month, other than Marathon, which is in first place. They hodled 100%. So about 5,000 of these are not self-mined, but the rest they have self-mined and hodled over the last 2 years. So they've got 11,757. HUT is in second place at 8,925 as of November 30th. 100% of those are self-hodled, self-mined. And then Riot Blockchain's at 6,897. Riot's had a hybrid approach to the year 2022. So they were hodling in 2021. They built up a big stack in 2022. They've been using anywhere from 300 to 400 Bitcoin a month to fund operations and growth. So their stack is growing a little bit. So those are the only 3 with a significant stack to talk about. There are 2 other companies worth mentioning, one of which is not on here. Hive Blockchain was in 4th place for most of the year, and they had over 3,000 Bitcoin. However, in the month of November, they did not report in their operational report how many Bitcoin that they had left. They did say they sold a lot of Bitcoin in the month of November, but they did not quantify how much that was and how much they have left. So I have no way to put a number on here. The only thing I know is they did sell some. We just don't know how much. Bitfarms is trying to hodl, so they've managed to hold on to 1,664, but that is a gigantic drop off from 3rd place. And you can see it drops off dramatically from there. And then Iris and Wolf, they just sell their Bitcoin as they mine it. So their number of hodl is going to be 0 and lessen until they change that policy. So you can see a clear breakaway here. At this point in the Bitcoin mining winter cycle, there are only 3 companies left that really have a hodl strategy. Everybody else has pretty much been forced to liquidate the vast majority of their Bitcoin. So that's it. That's all the stats I have for you this month. Again, they may have been a little bit more confusing than usual because so many things went on in the month of November. So many of the Bitcoin miners are not operating business as usual that it is skewing these numbers. So a heads up, I expect the same thing in December, right? Things are getting very tricky for a lot of these Bitcoin miners. So it's showing up in these numbers and in these monthly reports. So hopefully these are still of some use. Let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.